demonized for that, as if there's something wrong with it. But I never chose to have kids like they did. Their vaginas were the contract, and their partner's sperm was the signature. They willingly sold their souls in a deal with the devil to create small plague-carrying monsters in their image, and I'm suffering the consequences by proximity. My sisters take it as a personal insult, like how dare I not love their spawn as much as they do. But why should I? People act like there's some unspoken kinship bond between every member of our species, like it's unspeakable not to instantly love every shit machine that bridges the gap. My sister's baby humans were born and are living completely separately from my own existence. What's an uncle anyway? Not a blood relative. Sure, some of the blood relatives include it, also in that, but none of my blood relatives. Which is probably a really good thing. Last thing I need is a little knees running around. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm a really big fan of myself, but I would think qualities of myself in other people. If that doesn't make sense, I don't know how to improve it. So I don't feel like my sister's kids should be exempt from my all-encompassing dislike of them just because they're nearby. So I do my part and work them instead. They should be grateful. Animals, on the other hand, are dogs. I would give ISIS our country's nuclear launch codes before I ever physically hurt a cat or dog. I feel more connected to my pets than I do my siblings, and that's for the simple reason that you can choose your pet. But have a deadbeat dad and people telling you you're supposed to love them? Fuck them. If they understood a damn thing, they wouldn't advise dooming you to perpetual disappointment. I feel obligated as a disclaimer to say that my dad is fine. It's my sister that sucks ass. She's been living with me and my parents for a while as her divorce continues to finalize, an event which, by the way, was a complete and utter lack of a surprise. We have an ongoing feud about whether or not she should be allowed to physically abuse our dog whenever she wants. She has a 3-year-old son and a 1-year-old daughter who also stay with us half of every week. Her son is either going to grow up to be a bully or a serial killer, thanks in part to him inheriting the father-in blood of a fucking douchebag, and the mother-in blood of someone who thought it was a good idea to marry a fucking douchebag. The kid is violent, he bites people, and his mother is too busy leading by example on her dog to do anything concrete about it. So our home is filled with negative energy, our dog is stress-kissing on the carpet, being treated like a second-class citizen, and I wake up to whining and crying every day. It's a week before Christmas, and they get to be here until April, maybe even later. A treat for us all. So if my upload schedule seems to be slow because I have a lot of... It's because I have a lot of work to do. In addition to the fact that I have almost no games on the library. I've got the 4 in the block season. I never got 14 on GTA. I'm not going to bother because no class I see in the base career option thinking involves anything college related at all. Anyway, this series is a bona fide born-again while my sister who kicks puppies has started going to church. And some do.
I was wondering when that would appear, but that was supposed to be a different fucking Oogie.
And seek to rectify that obvious mistake via any source possible. Meanwhile, I'm 60% on and on. It's almost like I'm from another planet. My tendencies thought strange and not fully understood by my unwitting adoptive human family. We've probably all felt that way. Isn't it so fucking weird to be you? You're the only person whose actions you have direct brain control over. You can make decisions that affect the lives of people around you who, let's face it, could easily be computer simulations in some deep-ass extreme virtual reality. All you know for sure is who you are. And do you even know that? Are you truly free to influence the world? Or are the events in your life the result of a pre-programmed fate algorithm? Make no mistake, I fucking hate everything I just said, because talks of destiny and purpose are as pointless to muse about as anything because nobody has the answers. I'll say it again, nobody has the answers. Anyway, the goal of my life is to live beyond well, even though the risks of that pursuit terrify me. So that's going to do it for this stream of consciousness. If you enjoyed it, you can like, share, and subscribe, as I'm obligated to remind you at the end of every video, as that supposedly helps people actually do it. And I'll see you guys next time. I'm a comedian. I thought that wasn't how it was. I didn't start being funny until 4 years later. I was ashamed as possible in my early teens. I used to post jokes I'd watched comedians say on Facebook without any quotations or honorable mentions. The 2008 equivalent of the modern practice of turning famous jokes into memes and spreading them creditlessly across the internet so a 16-year-old Latino girl can try to pass off a Daniel Tosh joke as her own while adding her signature series of stupid emojis. The pop-up list. We live in a time now where comedians do all the work and Tumblr gets all the recognition. Have you ever seen a meme with a word so when you're making the meme. The text could not be more bold and in your face. Fucking high school dropouts using the internet to uncreatively express their lack of education. You don't need school to be smart. I know there are alternative ways to prove it, and if you're actively participating in that absorption knowledge, then by all means go tweet your outside-the-box success to Jaden Smith. But the teenagers who frequently denounce educational institutions aren't pursuing knowledge. They just want the pseudo-powerful feeling you get when you type bullshit on the internet. Ignoring higher education is only an acceptable choice in life to jack off of this time, preferably a few different ones to choose from. Your hobby of making Minecraft sculptures is not a jumping off point to just throw away 99% of your possibilities. Who needs college? I can make an 8-bit Mario out of blocks by copying a picture. Fucking idiot. Speaking of, nobody should be impressed by your ability to make shit in Minecraft. Hey, you want to see this Charizard I spent 3 days making? It looks like the real thing, only worse in every way. If you spend 2 years recreating a city from Final Fantasy in Minecraft, congratulations. You're almost as impressive as the people who made the actual city in the actual game with no frame of reference. You undeserved. I got completely silence, and I have no idea why. I was talking about the people in your high school English classes that couldn't read out loud to save their lives, like white kids raised in the suburbs of America that somehow couldn't put words together in their mouths. And so I'm talking about this one super dumb guy that gets called on to read in my class, and he's struggling as if the book's written in Chinese. So in the joke I call out, you know English doesn't count as a foreign language credit, right? I mean, is it a thinker? I feel like it's pretty straightforward, but nobody in the audience so much as twitched, and I mentally panicked for a second before just moving on. I stand by the quality of the joke, and even if it doesn't make you laugh, it's still objectively good. I've said this before, but being a comedian is like being a chef. If Bobby Flay cooks you a lamb chop and you don't like it, that's on you. I would do stand-up more, but the nearest club is a half-hour drive to Portland, and signing up doesn't ensure that I get to do any time. I've gone 4 or 5 times and now my name not put on the list, so it just becomes a gigantic waste of resources and energy. I haven't tried in almost a year. I see myself doing stand-up in the future, but in theaters, for big crowds of people who are my established comedic demographic. So maybe I have to get YouTube famous first. You have these old road comics who are of the opinion that getting recognition from anything other than hotel hopping across the country doing tiny venues for a dozen people 3 times a night is illegitimate. Mark Maron is a shining example of a comedy curmudgeon who despises young people on the internet. He said as much when Bo Burnham was a guest on his podcast, and Bo disappointed me by agreeing with him, essentially saying that nobody was more ashamed of how Bo Burnham got his name than Bo Burnham. People hate this generation because we have it 10 times easier, and we act like we have it 10 times easier. We really do have it 10 times easier. Why should we be ashamed of the time period we were born in? I refuse to believe it's acceptable to be guilty of something just by escaping the womb at a certain stage of history. We're products of our environment. I didn't live without all these technological ornaments because I never had to. If anyone from the previous generation was born in this generation instead, they'd be just as shit. When you have 2 different perspectives on an era, you can cut out stories and I feel the effects of that formula in action every time I turn on Cartoon Network and see a show that didn't come from the late 90s. These new cartoons aren't real cartoons. Back in my day, 10 years ago, we had real cartoons. Anyone who watches these fake cartoons are just shitty kids with only one perspective on history. When I think that way, I become an out-of-touch piece of shit. Out of touch just means stuck in a 5-year loose frame of mind of when you think things are nothing test. And the current crop of progressives will rightfully look down on it from every way. As far as my path to become a famous comedian goes, fuck the road. I would sell my soul if I had one to reach the top without performing in a dingy bar where you as the comedian are upstaged by the TVs at full volume set up all around your so-called stage. The legitimacy argument can kiss my ass too. You'll never find a crowd as brutally honest and vulgar as the internet. The best thing about it is that the heckling never comes back to you. Rather than in real time. They're trying to connect with humanity. So that's going to do it for this episode. If you enjoyed, you can I will see you guys next time. Since we're now binary, here's my favorite channel. This is the my first 2 channels are I'm not bad at this because I love this. The channel I had before Sunday was one I will refuse to name, but still very much exists. So if you feel like squeezing around, then you'll be rewarded with less slight embarrassment. That channel was focused on music and comedy specifically, with the videos ranging in quality from not the worst to just okay. That was back when I was more into writing funny songs and playing piano live on camera. I'd call it a phase, but I don't consider that part of me completely gone. I might transfer some of my better works to this channel. In case you're unaware, Sunburned Albino has been around since April of 2014, and it did not reach more than 30 subscribers until January of the following year. That's 7 months of uploading 3 or 4 videos a day every day for close enough to 0 people, back when I had enough games I was excited about to keep that schedule alive. Nobody can tell me I haven't put in my time. So I mentioned this was my 4th channel of 5. Well, somewhere in the period of time before my propulsion into the spotlight, dim as it may still yet be, I created another channel. This channel was to be the salvation of my innermost comedic darkness, an outlet for my tasteless jokes and a monument to the idea of sacrilegious freedom. I was to make slideshow commentary videos with jokes about the most fucked up subjects possible. To date, that channel has 3 videos and an equal number of subscribers. I'm more or less abandoned it, but it is there, and I've said the name of the channel already somewhere in this video. I've well established that I don't care about controversy or too soon or any kind of rules because I'm not trying to shackle Hollywood, but I don't live completely without it. I just have regular visits. I have no problem going there, but I won't stay there. Even as I say this, part of me doesn't feel as if my past material on this channel has fully qualified me to brag about crossing lines. I've got blunt opinions and I throw cats out the window when it suits me, but has there ever really been a case where I said something that offensive? To me, jokes about fat people or women or race don't really inherently talk to me. I have no right to talk about being edgy if those are the furthest reaches of darkness my views have taken me. So it's a good thing they aren't. I like to reveal at least a part of my most extreme comedy for you. If you do find my Dark Jokes channel, you'll see 3 topics I've chosen. If you've no interest in taking the effort to search, I completely understand, but stop that. So if you guys register, I will bring some of the evil to this video. But back to the explanation again. The first topic you'll see is incest. As far as comedy, I wanted to start small and build my confidence. People don't like to hear about family fucking. They just keep it under the rug. Most of you have probably forgotten it's even a thing till I brought it up just now. Incest seems to be a strictly white thing, unless you're from some Native American fuck tribe. I've never heard of black people committing it. You never hear like, hey yo, Jamal, come get your daddy off before dinner, or hey yo, sis, can you help me with my homework? Alright, you let me see that dick first. Incest is a pretty harmless topic because it doesn't really affect anyone. You probably won't see a lot of stuff. Hey, I used to fuck my mom. This is rock. So I started small. The next topic you'll see is mystery. I really have a subject that adversely affects a topic that we talk about. A big step up from incest. Miscarriages are literally dead babies. Oh, I thought you were going to have a first child who would grow up to positively affect the world. Surprise, it's dead. Who will be married? If abortion is murder, then miscarriage is a the third topic you'll see is bad enough and clear enough, but I might be the only person to ever publicly make a joke about it. Ever heard of progeria? It's that genetic disorder that turns your kid into E.T. People ask if we've been visited by beings from other planets while ignoring the ones on our own, the obvious descendants of visitors from outer space. They don't live long because Earth lacks whatever mysterious resources these alien spawn need to survive. Am I surprising you yet? Part of my brain is dedicated to this. Did you guess it would be this bad? Was the music playing at that concert in Paris death metal? I have no shame, and it feels nice. People always want you to justify what you find funny. It goes double for comedians because we're not just laughing at these things, we're taking the time and energy to craft them. But I don't want to justify shit. I just want to keep going on as I am, incur the fallout and sift through the wreckage for leftover valuables. I'll be honest, as if I haven't been this whole time, but when I post something offensive on social media like a tweet or Facebook status, I get nervous. I know what's coming, and despite how I keep telling my brain that it'll be fun to fight with these people, I don't relish the actual event of doing so. It's almost like my sense of humor is a full-blown disease that whatever's left of my morality is trying to fight off. It's a losing battle for it, sure, but sometimes it does some damage, and I question whether my principles are worth the disdain of certain kinds of people. Once I actually see a comment challenging my joke, however, I go back to feeling fine and telling people they're dumb. My morality's really got to get its shit together if it ever wants to win out, but I can't say I'm rooting for it. That's going to do it for this episode. If you enjoyed it, you can feel free to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time if any of you are still around after the big verbal shit I just used to fertilize your souls. Alright, see you next time. PETA needs to stop making video games. Hensatech, the company who actually develops the games and is no better off for being a Japanese porn provider, has a cash flow that comes from 15 years of making knockoffs of established genres and souring the experience of the source material in order to further an agenda. You would think a good way to get your point across would be to wrap it in a decent gaming experience so people actually want to continue it. But Hensatech seems to think all you have to do is make a vastly dumbed-down version of a popular game and plaster abused animals onto it. PETA's main cause is just the ethical treatment of animals. Lately, they've expanded the categorization of animals and added Pokemon to their list of victims. You see, PETA thinks Pokemon promotes animal cruelty. And it does, in the same way that Saints Row promotes crashing your helicopter. Which is to say it doesn't, at all. PETA stupidly thinks transferring this agenda to the gaming medium is going to make anyone pay any more attention to any of their problems with the world. They invaded the PlayStation Store a few months ago with a classic game, rescuing abused animals. That would be like the Atari flashback from one of the The first and only level I played before I not only quit the game in the store, I deleted it and to delete the application data so my system's memory of the garbage. I was getting workaware that was being questioned by robots in attempts to call out SeaWorld. Because you know how SeaWorld is run by robots? I'm not immune to the concept of a metaphor, but PETA's point is not getting across when playing their game makes me want to abduct a barnyard of animals and kill a hostage every hour that they don't promise to stop making terrible games. By the way, I eat McDonald's twice a week. Who knew cruelty could be so delicious? Oh hey, next time you get their chicken nuggets, there's a game you can play by yourself called Guess Which Nugget Was Tortured? The answer is all of them, but as long as they don't taste like torture, I'm not in a position to care. Bottom line, if you want to start a campaign for change in this world, keep it away from video games. We're not a receptive audience when our fun is replaced with unwanted education. I went to PETA's website for that Pokemon Red, White, and Blue dog shit, not to play it, but just to see what they were going the wrong way about protesting this time. And at the bottom of the page, they want you to give your name and email to receive a vegan starter kit. What is a vegan starter kit, you might ask? Well, they didn't say what was in it, but I assume it has something to do with malnutrition. Veganism was invented because we needed another way for humans to be smug bitches. Nowadays, to make it a force to follow...
You know about him too? Fuck yeah, it's Sunburn Albino. Before I only ever watched his ranking videos, but he just uploaded one on Pro Jared and that whole controversy, you know, like, oh, this is gold, I need to watch all of them now.
Would you like some sustenance with that? She's like, no, I'm gonna fill up on this salad. If you ever have to use the word strict to describe a meal you've just eaten, it wasn't a meal, it was a placebo for food. Have you ever been to an exclusively vegan restaurant? I feel like vegans are absolving themselves of the guilt of eating animals by eating their habitats instead. I look on the menu and see shit like endangered snow owl's nest with a side of discarded twigs. Excuse me, is that shade tree leaves on the menu? And I have to ask for the humanitarian in me. Were these leaves being used as camouflage by an assortment of otherwise defenseless animals? Yes, they were. Okay, great, I'll have that. And would you like to donate $1 to help clear-cut forests and put food on our table? Well, it's a good cause, but I'm on a pretty strict budget, what with my regular fixed support fees. I've been saving my last few paychecks so I can finally afford that single drink I've been after. Alright, well, with your selection of our finest parsley and only the best in fermented woodland spirits, your total comes to $1,070. Do you take Discover Card? Even we don't take Discover Card. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. If you enjoyed it, you can like, share, and subscribe and whatnot, and I'll see you guys next time. If you're a single mom of a child under the age of 9, you probably overreact to the world around you on a regular basis. Maybe you're mad that stores still label toys as for boys and for girls, and you take that personally for no reason. Maybe you're upset that a recent Disney movie that was free remakes and you're still people say, oh, that's just that's just as how bad it's going to be when you're big toddlers go They bend their children over and coddle themselves. They can't really disappointment or mistakes in their way to most people they probably do before they go to bed. Some of you probably suspect people you know are coddling. You see the evidence in their children's attitudes and their demeanor. These are victims of coddling and nobody is speaking out. The abusers are meticulous about where they coddle their kids. They focus it on their stomach and back so the bruises don't show. And the kids have been raised that way their whole lives. They don't know any better. How could they know the true harm of coddling? Go to any kid's sports league. Everyone on that team gets a trophy, even the losers. If they have specific titles they give out that describe what your kid did to deserve an award, they will make up the most bullshit thing. Who the fuck wants their son to take home the perfect attendance award. Congratulations, son, you were perfectly unremarkable, but at least you're consistent. You know what the bigger killer of self-esteem than losing? Fake winning. And what does that teach the real winners? When they find out the losers get the same size trophy as them. That if you practice really hard and try your best, you can accomplish just as much as the dweeb kid who contributed my ass to the team. I've played tennis since I was 6, and when I was 10, I became a part of a summer league that happened every year that I participated in until I was 16. We had a team of 12 players who would compete one-on-one or two-on-two against 5 other teams that were all in the same league. There was competition. There were individual responsibilities. I like tennis because you really blame yourself for the rest. I mean, sure, our individual point totals would be added together, and some would naturally contribute more, but if your specific numbers were good, you knew you had done all you could for the team. You just have no one else to pull their weight. But you could feel good about your solo stats. So this one year, we had a few new people join the league, and one of them went to our team. This kid's name was Jerry, and he ate shit all day. There was not a time where he was standing on the tennis court where he was not also simultaneously eating shit. He was beyond sucking. He was gargling at tennis. But everybody needs to feel good about themselves, right? So after the practice months were over, we got into the actual tournament play. Everybody had to play football every day. Fortunately for me, but probably not the story, I was not forced to be Jerry's doubles partner. If you're unfamiliar with tennis rules, to oversimplify things, you win 4 rallies to win a game, 6 games to win the set, and 2 out of 3 sets to win the whole match. With the 5 teams in the league, the team whose players had the most games won would win the tournament. So even if you lost the match, if it was close and you won a bunch of games, you could still help your team, as opposed to being blown out of the water winning no games, which is what the fuck Jerry did. Despite my best efforts to steamroll every opponent I came across in my own matches, our team ended up losing in second place by 3 games, and it was all Jerry's dumbass not fit to wear a visor shit-eating. If you're wondering how this relates to my coddling arc, it's coming up. So awards night comes up, which is a big backyard barbecue that happens annually at whoever's house is the biggest. Stiff competition. It's true that tennis is favored as a rich person's sport, which having been robbed of being a multi-billionaire is probably attracts me so. So awards night, where everybody on every team, no matter how shitty the trophy with a title of special is, you know the usual. There's the ones that are deserved, like most guys with a player. Best match record. Definitely not me. I wasn't very good at this practice, and it was a free experience after a missed shot. And then you have the bottom of the barrel. Most responsible. How do you be responsible in tennis? For getting your equipment when you leave? Staying hydrated? Hey, here's a trophy for drinking the most acceptable amount of water. Treasure it always. Want to know what award Jerry got? Most inspirational. And you know, I get it. He inspired me to keep not sucking ass. But now he gets to feel useful, he gets to be fooled into thinking he's one of the winners. The only thing more annoying than low self-esteem is false confidence. Jerry was coddled that day, in front of everyone. And he will carry that, winning or un, for the rest of his life. You've heard of safe spaces, where sensitive people romanticize about a world with no negativity or bad influences. A utopia of the mind. People like to retreat inside their safe spaces and pretend they can't be hurt. But it's a glass house, surrounded by rhymed. Slant rhymes are lazy. If you're rhyming the word gain with fame, you don't deserve it. Also, pronouncing a word wrong on purpose does not a new rhyme make. Kiss me through the phone, I'll see you later on. Soldier Boy fucking sucks. Yeah, I called him Soldier Boy. You think you could just say a word wrong for half your identity? I refuse to participate. I'm not racist. I watch Empire. Highly recommend, by the way. I'd say it's like Black Glee, if Glee wasn't such a socio-political train wreck now. Glee's problem is it thinks it has to address every single thing that faces America today. Believe me when I tell you nobody's coming to a show on Fox about a cappella choirs to get their weekly dose of social issue perspective. Also, did you forget that the show is called Glee? School shootings aren't that gleeful. Well, maybe for the shooters. That's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, you can like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.
No.
So we've all heard of taboo subjects, and most of us probably have the same ideas come to mind when we think of the word. Rape, terrorist attacks, things the general public would find off limits to a joke. However, there are 2 subjects I've noticed that go beyond the scope of this word. 2 things that if you make fun of them, the most amount of people would want you dead. And you probably never thought about them that way because it's so unthinkable that anyone would be so callous as to mock what so many people consider such priceless symbols in their lives. But I hate both of them and the following they share. And I'm about to tell you how and why they're concealed in my suicide note. The two things you are never allowed to make fun of for fear of instant, powerful public hatred are weed and the Beatles. Tell a rape joke about the Paris attacks with 9/11 undertones, and you will still not incur half the outrage you will by saying the Beatles are overrated. What do the Beatles, the Backstreet Boys, Green Day, and Taylor Swift have in common? They're all the premier artists of their generation, and they are all functionally the exact same. The panty droppers of their era, or boxer droppers in Taylor Swift's case. The Beatles are 60s pop. Nobody wants to call them pop because they want to put them on a gigantically higher pedestal than anything similar, but they're pop. They weren't the first pop band, they certainly aren't the last. When people say, if it wasn't for the Beatles, your favorite bands today wouldn't exist. Those people are delusional. Have they influenced a lot of musicians? Sure. You know who else has influenced a lot of musicians? Every other musician that any musician has ever listened to. There hasn't been a fully original song with no inspirations from other sources since the first Africans started beating their giant dicks on hollow logs. As a composer myself, in order to make something your own, it first has to be something else. Nothing you're doing hasn't been done before, slightly different, and that's fine. Let's all accept that and stop screaming other artists or copy the song. He's entitled to any money. He's just having trouble adjusting to being anciently irrelevant. Who's going to Beatles concerts? Oh, it's just so much fun listening to 70-year-old men play 50-year-old men. Teenagers who like the Beatles must be stuck in a convent. If your dad was in the womb when a band was popular, you would just stay away from them and allow time to continue moving forward. You ever hear people say, I feel like I was meant to be born in the 60s because it's their favorite decade? They don't even know how dumb that is to say. Being born in your favorite decade means you've aged 0 to 10 to enjoy it. Don't you think you should hit the sweet spot a bit later in your life? Snorting cocaine backstage at a Rolling Stones concert doesn't sound like an effective way to spend your childhood allowance. People who say pop songs these days all sound the same, and then go listen to one of 100 indistinguishable 2.5-minute long Beatles songs, need some refreshed perspective. It all sounds the same. Not just the Beatles. All music is equally stale as fuck. And I'll be damned if I'm gonna let the Beatles' quantity of work excuse them from being grouped in with the rest of the quality of work. See, my problem isn't that they're bad. I don't think they're bad. I just know they're not special. So I get annoyed when people bend over backwards to take it in the ass in their honor. Weird immature. Weak, on the other hand, is just awful. Just the whole concept, followed by the execution, as well as the pathetic neediness that follows. Need's an addiction. I can stop anytime I want. Are you ever gonna want to? No, I need it. It helps me sleep. Then it helps me wake up. Then it helps me get through the day. Then it helps me sleep. No dependence there. People surrender their whole identities to weed. It becomes the lifeblood of who they are, and they couldn't care less.
I'm feeling this in my soul.
The only difference is being able to afford a backpack. Weed is an antidepressant for the user, and a depressant for everyone around him. There are two reasons people first seek out marijuana. Either their life is too shitty, or their life is too good. Shitty people want something to alleviate the symptoms of being alive, while spoiled people just want to look at their luxury cars through fog-colored glasses and live out their fantasies of being a disappointment to their parents. If it seems like I'm going harder than usual, it's because I fucking hate the idea of drugs in general. I just don't need a pick-me-up to appreciate the unfathomable scope of beauty that planet Earth offers us on a daily basis. To seek out a means of trying to manufacture a better world for yourself to live in for a few hours is the single most pretentious thing a human being can do. Is the entire universe not quite good enough for you? You barely deserve to be here as it is. If the only way you can get by in life is in an altered state, you should instead please die. I just do it to relieve stress. I'm going through a really stressful time. Oh, well then by all means, indulge and cultivate your stress. I only use medical marijuana. I have a restriction in everything because sometimes one part of my body hurts a little. Stoners tend to have a hard time discerning the difference between bad pain and emotional pain. It's all controlled by your brain. Phantom limbs, hysteria, all examples of the brain creating pain and symptoms when there was no actual reason for their condition. If your back starts to hurt, your first thought is an excuse to get a marijuana prescription. Your brain created that pain to use it as a try to deal with whatever emotions that happen to be simultaneously present. Because your history has already trained your brain to view weed as a temporary solution to those problems. You want to tell me marijuana has no long-term effects on your brain? Your pre-existing habit has affected your brain in just enough of a way so that it leans more towards fumigation in times of mental crisis. You've now set it on an endlessly repeating path of providing you with physical pain as a way to treat your emotional pain. But hey, these are just my unsubstantiated claims based on a 5-minute brainstorming session. You know your life. You know I'm way off base, right? Well, that's going to do it for this episode. If you enjoyed it, which is unlikely given the topics and my opinions on them, you can like, share, and subscribe. But if you feel I've insulted your livelihood beyond restitution, you can at least take comfort in knowing I have no reason to repeat myself on these topics in subsequent videos. I'll see you guys next time.
Oh, that was glorious.
Isn't it great to hear that 90-year-olds are being put on trial for Nazi war crimes? I mean, thank God they're finally getting what they deserve. Your Honor, we find the defendant guilty of 6 million accounts of accessory to murder. All right, Mr. Spetz, I'm giving you 300,000 life sentences for your crimes, and we're all going to pretend you won't be dead in 2 weeks anyway. Justice has been served. Dismissed. There was a show I saw on Netflix about these guys whose job it is to hunt down German geezers from World War II and turn them in. How do you take pride in that career? So what do you do for a living? I track old people and send them to jail. Are they bad people? They were 60 years ago, that's all that matters. Some of these convictions they're getting are for people who didn't do anything, but were just present during the kill sequences of the Holocaust. Like they're actually being held accountable for just being in the vicinity of genocide. Mr. Klaus, you knew your senior officer was about to flip a switch that would gas every Jew in that chamber. Why didn't you stop him? Are you fucking kidding me? Oh yeah, he could have stopped him. He could have been like, hey, don't do that, and then been promptly shot in the face for insubordination of being a Jewish sympathizer, at which time the switch would be flipped regardless. So yes, dying for nothing would have definitely been the right thing to do. Mr. Klaus, for failing to betray your dictator and throw your life away in an impossible attempt to save people you've never met, we're gonna make sure your hardest days left on this planet get even more unmanageable. Unless these old Nazi war criminals are taking it upon themselves to continue the work of Hitler today by abducting Gentiles and killing them in 2016, maybe you could just leave them alone. That's like rubbing your senior citizen dog's nose in a carpet pee stain it left when it was a puppy. Remember this? Remember what you did all those years ago? I'm still mad about it. That stain is long since bleached, but I'm still gonna punish you so hard. I mean, does anybody really think we should be wasting time and money holding dementia patients accountable for what they can't even remember? It's like arresting a wrinkled Steve Urkel. Millions of men, women, and children were slaughtered because of you and your regime. What do you have to say for yourself? Oh, did I do that? So ridiculous. I mean, the justice system's purpose isn't really to ascertain guilt or innocence anymore. It just works to keep itself in place. The fact that the word inadmissible is a term frequently used in court just proves the institution's primary focus is self-preservation. You can find the defendant's bloody fingerprints on the murder weapon, but if you happen upon it outside of a warrant-sanctioned search, it's inadmissible. They throw that shit out of evidence. Hey, I have proof that this guy's guilty. The gun he used to shoot the victim, it was under his bed. I just kind of went in there while he was at the grocery store and took it. Well, did you have a warrant? Stupid. So you're saying you broke into this man's house? Now you're running with it. Oh, cool. I guess the system does work. I mean, sure, planning evidence and framing people would become a lot easier without those sanctions in place, but I've seen decades of 30 seconds of going through your trash for DNA, and I'll have you arrested for my crime tomorrow. It's not my fault I got the way through. Being a serial killer is too much work. That's why I don't do anything. Stalking your victims, learning their routines, setting up quiet kill locations, having sex with the bodies, destroying all the evidence afterwards. I mean, how badly do you have to want someone to put up with the effort? I miss the old days, where they had any forensic technology. Back then you could stab your next door neighbor, clean nothing, leave all the prints you want, and then just grab your coat and go back to your house. When the police come to your door to question you, just say, it wasn't me. And they're like, well, we can't prove otherwise. They go back to the precinct and the captain's like, here, have a paycheck for trying. By the way, our murder solve rate is 2%. Keep wearing those hats. I'd love to be suspected of murder. Not having done it, but just having the police think I did. I would live for those interrogations where they're so sure they've got the right job, and it turns out I had an alibi and somebody else left. I couldn't into it. I couldn't do it until the lack of evidence exonerated me. I talked to me like, what the fuck is wrong? That's thanks to the very And let me tell you, I have never seen a community come together like that before. People were posting what they had, reposting it everywhere they could, helping other people find the specific porn they were looking for was kind of beautiful. It was like a Black Friday rummage sale, only people were being considerate and helpful. You'd think the news were fucking Pokemon trading cards. Someone would be like, I'm looking for Jennifer Lawrence, and some other guy instantly would be like, I've got her over here! People were exchanging the pictures they found, directing people new to the site in real time to where they wanted to go. Who knew a bunch of pervs could demonstrate the best that humanity has to offer? I call them pervs. Someone was kind enough to compile every leaked nude into one viewable mega picture. I mean, I might have glanced at it a few times. I love when people are like, you're invading their privacy. No, their privacy came pre-invaded by whoever posted the photos. I don't have malicious intent. I'm just here to look at famous tits. I shouldn't be a father. I know that. I think we all do. I'd be a great father, like, DNA-wise, because of this goddamn treasure trove of talent I have, but I can never father in the verb sense of the word. I can never put up with the idea of my child having a imaginary friend. He'd be standing there, 4 years old, like, Daddy, meet Clyde. Yes, that's an obscure Garfield reference. He'd be like, Daddy, this is Clyde, my imaginary friend. And I'd be like, no, fuck you, you're stupid. I'd take my TV and son would say, hey, that's Clyde, dude. I'm like, oh, really? He can't take up space in reality, but he can own my fucking furniture? Daddy, can you and Clyde? No! You're gonna be living in an imaginary house, 6 feet under the ground if you don't put this shit to bed. Children can't appreciate anything. They're actually intelligent. We don't pay attention to anything, and thus can't appreciate anything. Have you ever put a movie on for a toddler that they begged for? They don't watch that shit. It's just on, and they're nearby as they focus on nothing. My sister's 2-year-old daughter, who's staying with us for the week, asks for videos on every single day. Why? 2 is too young for media entertainment. It's wasted on them. Even shows designed specifically for little kids are being ignored by their target audience, which isn't shitting themselves to learn anything. Why bother with the plot at all? Kids should watch Planet Earth. Something purely visual that's cool for all ages. On a lonely Netflix Saturday. I binge-watched the Powerpuff Girls last year and had a blast. So what do you guys think of that Donald Trump guy, huh? Let's tell some tired fucking jokes about that dude. I mean, have you seen his hair? I have some suspicions that it may not even be real. I mean, it looks like the roadkill version of some interchangeable small woodland critter, right? Like, it looks like a nondescript furry animal crawled up there and died of natural causes. And I promise I didn't steal that joke from statistically 3 out of every 10 people on the internet who have said it. And what about his policy? He reminds me of Hitler. Do you remember when Hitler orchestrated the systematic genocide of 6 million people? And now Donald Trump has also been running a Muslims and walking demonstrators? I mean, he did that. Because otherwise this whole Hitler comparison thing wouldn't make any fucking sense. Because it's assuming that the American people are rational enough not to exaggerate circumstances to make themselves feel smart and go on the Roman tradition. And Donald Trump is rich. He's so rich that he shouldn't be president. Because nobody else on his campaign has any money, so he doesn't have any money. And his dad gave him $1 million. Talk about a handout. I mean, what did Donald Trump do with $1 million besides make a series of discretionary financial investments and business decisions to turn it into $4 billion? Exactly. Fucking nothing. I mean, all he did was increase his wealth by 4,000%. Who hasn't done that shit? I don't care who becomes president. I'm 21. Congressional shit is going to happen no matter which faceless figurehead is at the helm. It doesn't affect me. But I promise you, if you're a comedian or just a person on the internet, your Trump jokes are unoriginal and fucking stupid, and I'm so goddamn tired of seeing them everywhere. Comedy is getting simultaneously better and worse. The good comedians are becoming funnier, while the hack comedians are getting hackier, and the hack comedians far outnumber the good. Topical humor is basically a get an applause break for free card. All you have to do now to be a successful comedian is go on stage and give a pandering opinion to trick people into thinking you told a joke on YouTube. And audiences are gradually becoming conditioned to respond to less and less material. A comedian can be like, blank blankety blank is happening right now, and you know what? It's stupid. And everyone in the crowd is like, he didn't say anything funny, but we agree with the sentiment. If we don't clap, we think we support blank blankety blank instead of oppose it. We can't have that. There used to be a line that separated comedians from preachers and activists, speakers, and the like. That line was the concept of being funny, which is being ever more smart and goes on. I feel like jokes are being replaced with a devil. I guess it's always been that way for some comedians in each time period. Ironically, if I became a famous comedian as a proponent of getting back to the basic function of being one and just making people laugh, that would then just become my agenda. You can be all like, with Sunbird Albino, you can stand up 4 times in your life. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about when it comes to the current landscape and direction of comedy. But I immerse myself in it. I watch a gigantic amount of stand-up. I've seen a bunch of documentaries, which is where the real insider information is. I'm not ignorant. I know shit. I've studied it. I keep myself awake at night thinking about where stuff is headed and where I'm going to fit into the grand scheme of things. And believe me when I tell you I see myself eventually seated at the king's table with the rest of the greats of whenever that time is. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can like, share, and subscribe and stuff. And I'll see you guys. Finding someone new seems like such a gigantic drag. To me, the worst part of starting a new relationship is telling them things. I told the last girl so many things. Now I have to tell this girl all the same things. So what are your favorite shows? And I'm like, you know what? How about that? That's not like online dating. Because you write it out now, and then maybe what they do, ask you whether it's your person. And I don't know if different people are the same questions. When I feel like the other party has nothing to offer to them. Why didn't I reply? You haven't been replying this whole time. You might be typing words that then get sent to my phone, but every thought your thumbs create is like its own sealed-off box of junk floating in the void of the cloud, and nothing I say could ever pry that shit open. It's so prevalent to the point where I can't help but call out the perpetrators. I'll screenshot a lonely LOL someone sent to me after I used my expert craftsmanship to stoke the fires of comedy and forge them a tempered steel joke and send it to them like, do you see what you've done here? This is not a contribution. Every girl I talk to always claims to want to be mentally engaged, but what they don't seem to realize is that's a two-way street. I'm not here to entertain you while you give no intelligence back to me. If that's what you want, open up your purse and adequately compensate me for it. By the way, just to jump ahead of anybody who would claim that these opinions are sexist, what if I was gay? I'd be trying to consider shit about me. I only date girls, therefore I can only make dating jokes about girls. Also know that if you're a girl who over the course of this video will ever become we will never go out, and you probably won't consider that much of a well, I especially won't. Feminists act all weird, and they don't understand why nobody would want to date someone who proudly labels themselves a killjoy. You kill joy. If I'm entering a relationship, I prefer to kill joy. I'm not trying to date a feminist killjoy. The same way a feminist killjoy isn't trying to put a lap dance to a woman. It's a situation doomed to unpleasant consequences. I'm not anti-feminism. I'm just anti-being anywhere near feminism. There's times when it's necessary. Let's just say I'm not masturbating to pictures of your hopes and dreams. I like moves and ask for those scenarios. That'll be weird. If I was married to a lawyer or something, and whenever she wasn't home, I took her framed law degree upstairs and put it off. Tell me your fucking ideas. Oh, yes. Philanthropy. Philanthropy. Oh. You know what? How come nobody on Tinder knows Tinder is for hookups and casual dating? There's so many profiles that are just like, I'm looking for some new friends. Unless that's code and I've been an idiot this whole time. I mean, I can be your friend for like 45 minutes. But I feel like some people authentically are just looking for friends. And that is such a goddamn wrench in everybody else's plans. When you match with someone on Tinder, shouldn't that feel like you're in a position? If you can take me to your position, and my foot is at least in the door, right? But I've been running into this. I don't just give everyone my phone. I would want to buy this profile I like. I want to have the practice of contact. It's not like that's some kids are playing like, I have a girlfriend. I mean, did you know how weird what that is? That's like going on blackpeoplenews.com. That's like going on blackpeoplenews.com and saying, I have a girlfriend. That's like going on Ukrainian.com. I have an authentic passport. That's like going on blackpeoplemeet.com and saying, I'm taking swimming lessons. That's like going on blackpeoplemeet.com and saying, I just watched a YouTube tutorial on how to hotwire a car. You have what you need already. Get the fuck out of here. Whose girlfriend is like, hey babe, mind if I join Tinder? And he's just like, yeah, I mean, it's just for friends, right? Yeah, it's just for friends. Okay, I trust you, babe. You're clueless, and your babe is a hoe. Well, that's gonna do it for this episode. If you enjoyed it, you can like, share, subscribe, and whatnot, and I will see you guys next time. I've been thinking about changing my name. Not my YouTube name, no. Rest assured, I know Sunburned Albino is perfect. My real name, Kevin Miller, in case some of you are continuing to deprive yourselves of my Twitter account, which is at Sunburned Albino, by the way. No tricks there. If you want to become famous, you need a famous-sounding name. This means the right pairing of first and last name to create something that rolls off the tongue and, most importantly, rings a bell. There are 3 categories for both first and last names: basic, uncommon, and exotic. The pairing of these categories is much more intuitive than my take, especially when you account for the fact that I am literally making this all up as I write this script. For example, you might think that having 2 exotic names means you're at the top of the value game in terms of recognition, but if your name sounds ridiculous and fake, people aren't going to take you seriously, although there is the notable exception of Joaquin Phoenix. Every rule has exceptions, especially when I don't do any research before creating a system to classify the identity of every human in the world. Basic names might feel basic, but when paired with an exotic or even an uncommon, they can soar to greater heights because they help emphasize the whole world name. A good example of this would be Zach Galifianakis. Zach is a basic name, while Galifianakis is obviously exotic. Zach doesn't hog Galifianakis' spotlight, so it doesn't feel like there's a struggle for dominance. Brad Pitt is one of the most recognizable names in the business. Both names are uncommon. Angelina Jolie has 2 uncommon names as well, and she also has exotic charity adoptions to call her own. In my mind, the most effective way to keep people's attention and memory is to have a basic first name paired with an uncommon last name. Adam Sandler is an example of this. Tom Hanks, Emily Blunt, Tom Cruise, Kevin Spacey, James Spader. All basic first names with uncommon lasts. I have 2 basic names. Kevin Miller. That's the worst combination, because then you don't stand out at all. Hey, have you heard of Kevin Miller? Miller sounds like he works at a manufacturing facility as a drunk painter. Either name by itself would be fine, but combined they form a regrettable ID. You might say, well, Kevin James is successful, at which point I'm prepared to laugh you right out of the room. But name all the famous names. Who are they? That's Kevin Spacey, affirmation, with a young comedy who was an acting savant. Kevin James with 2 basic names, who savant would never be used to describe. There's Kevin Federline, who most people have forgotten by now, but even though his career is less prolific than his next his wig collection, he has his own common last name, and it sounds pretty good. Kevin Pollak is a Jew. That's all he has to be remembered. Kevin Hart has an uncommon last name that's even spelled wrong for good measure. Kevin Jonas has the uncommon last name, and used to have 3 copies of it to help back him up. Kevin Costner with the uncommon last name. Everyone has the uncommon last name to go with the Kevin if they're famous. Kevin itself is a very appealing first name. Just needs a little spice sprinkled onto the end. I've made a list of possible last names to change mine to, and by I've made a list, I mean I will now commence making the list. I thought about channeling my absolute adoration for the Pokemon series by making my last name a Pokemon, but some fucking basketball player beat me to it, Kevin Durant. Asa Butterfield, the guy who's going to be the next Spider-Man, might as well be named Asa Butterfree. That's all I think of when I hear his name. It's hard to find a Pokemon last name that doesn't sound extremely gay, but Diana Agron pulled it off, so I'm currently looking through the Pokedex. Kevin Cedra, Kevin Ariados makes me sound Mexican, same for Chin Chow and Chinese. Look, just keep indulging me. Kevin Donphin just makes me sound fat. Kevin Stantler wouldn't be bad if I was the Stantler was the ugliest Pokemon there is. Kevin Trico puts me in the Italian Mafia. Kevin Bacon sounds too much like Kevin Bacon, who I just realized I forgot in my previous list. Alright, I'm skipping ahead to what I listed for. Yes, I went through the entire list. There's Kevin Seagra, Kevin Beldam, Kevin Shinks, which I really like now. Kevin Lucario might be too ambitious, but I still like how it sounds. Kevin Finion, Kevin Macharna makes me sound mystical as shit. Kevin Emolga, Kevin Ponyard, and Kevin Amora. My favorite one. I'm going to narrow those down to my top 4. And from here, normally you would see someone throw up a charade of, now it's your turn to vote for your favorites. But there's way not enough of you to do that. So this is just to make myself not feel like I did all this for no reason, even though that's exactly right. The top 4 choices for my Pokemon last name are Kevin Amora, Kevin Shinks, Kevin Belden, Kevin Finion. I had to make it a top 4 because I couldn't just pick 3, which will inevitably make picking top 1 very difficult. This is for me to ponder now. Let's move on. The fact is, I have to pick. There are a few Kevin Millers who are famous enough to appear in Google searches. One is a voice actor, which already sits as a desirable field of mine cannot stand. Kevin Miller is the voice of Sly Cooper. I can't start moving up in the world, or else we'll be confused and make things complicated. Another Kevin Miller is a radio host. Another plays hockey. I thought about Joseph Gordon-Leviting it with my 3 names, but there's something too formal about that feels wrong. The name is everything in a brand. Would you buy clothes from Teddy Bauer? Victor's Secret? How about The Gate? The importance cannot be overstated. Sunburned Albino is a retailing success in the making. It's memorable, lightly offensive, and if the Washington Redskins are any indication, it'll be 80 years before anyone says it's talking with it. And by then, the dead. That's the video for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give some likes, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. People at Starbucks paying for the coffee of the person behind them. Complete strangers. See that really good read and that annoying way you can feel by looking at them? There's some sightings of pay it forwarding happening in the drive-thrus of fast food restaurants too. How does that work? I get up to the window like, yeah, I'll have 3 hamburgers and a vanilla milkshake. Sir, congratulations, but I'm being told by the person in front of you that they're gonna pay for your food today. And I'm like, okay. Well, then can I add 3 large fries and 2 drinks? Sir, I'm afraid your would-be benefactor just drove off really fast and hit a pedestrian. There's a real concern once a chain of pay-it-forward starts to try to keep the chain going. Like, you're obligated if someone buys your food to then buy the food of who's behind you. Which, if that's the case, you might as well have just bought your own damn food, and what's the point? Look, guys, let's see how long we can keep manufacturing this fake generosity until the news outlets get wind of it. They always give such bad press to the guy who ends the streak by taking his free meal and running off. I am absolutely that guy. But it's justified sometimes. What if your food gets paid for and you're expected to buy off the people behind you, but you turn around and look to see who you're helping and it turns out to be a bunch of fatties? Sir, a family of hippos just pulled up to the window. Would you like to break the bank by paying for even half their shit? How many of them are there? Enough to make me wonder how that car doesn't have 4 flat tires, 2 fat parents who somehow managed sex long enough to give birth to 3 Boulder children. The oldest one looks 16, which means he's 11, and the other 2 seem to be attached to a makeshift insulin IV drip of some kind. If I ran out on a pay-it-forward and sent it on a $20 to turn the food, why am I leaving? Because this entire system is a sham. What's the difference in my financial situation between me buying my own food and me buying yours after someone buys mine? Is it none? Because if it's none, and there's therefore no tangible benefit for anybody involved in this charade, why are we doing this? Because some people can't stop chasing that feeling of faux satisfaction they get by causing faux gratitude. It's like a goodwill drug trial where every patient is addicted to the placebo. Also, there's no real drug. Everyone's getting the placebo. I'm not a video game journalist. I have the skill set, but I lack the giving a shit. The only way I get gaming news is in my peripheral visions in a sidebar when I'm scrolling through Game Informer's review scores. Things that I don't actually know why I read. But however bullshit the idea of needing an Origins account is, why it's near unconstitutional to have to sign waivers that protect game companies from litigation before you know the game and signing up for fucking bungee jumping, or how absolutely retarded it is to have to decide whether it's cost effective to buy a season pass before you even have an inkling of what the hell's going to be in it. These are issues to be discussed by people who have the proper motivation and drive to do any research at all and back up their points with findings and statistics. Something I could never take the time to do. Things don't change anyway. No matter the number of articles read or videos watched advising against encouraging the existence of microtransactions by making them, people are still buying silver and COD points by the truckload, but those funds help the companies afford to make great games in the future. You're right, if by great games you mean shady DLC. Premium is a word used in advertising to trick people into thinking that what they're getting is better than it is. A premium edition of a game is just a regular game, but it's a valuable edition of time-dated content that lasts for literally a couple years. By which point you might be cash with your shirt product. Hey, you want to make a down payment on this bike? Tell you what, if you agree to pay way more than your bicycle is worth, we'll let you go home with a unicycle. Then you can come back to the store in 9 months and grab the second one for free, you fuckhead. Here's the one, son. We really don't have any choice but to play it, because the masses will always play it. And while it may feel noble to boycott practices you don't agree with, you're still going to be the one missing out in the end when nothing changes. That's why I still buy premium editions and season passes, despite my reservations. Because as much as one can dream up better ways for game companies to handle the marketing and quality of their products, They aren't doing them, and I have to be a gamer in the current time period, or be left behind sitting in a puddle of my own nostalgic filth. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. If you enjoyed it, you can like, share, and subscribe and whatnot, and I'll see you guys next time. People's views on hard drugs and guns are pretty eye-opening in terms of the endless cycle that both sides constantly revolve around. People who think guns should be illegal say it's the gun's fault when people die, not the operator of them. People who think hard drugs should be legal say it's the drug's fault when people die, not the user of them. Both sets of people think the object and not the person are the reason behind the bad things that happen, yet one side wants the one thing to be legal, while the other side wants the other thing to be illegal, even though their views on the issues are basically identical. If roles were reversed, and hard drugs were legal and guns weren't, the news stories we'd be hearing about would be mass overdoses in schools rather than mass shootings, and celebrities would be shooting themselves instead of ODing. And pretty much nothing will have changed in the minds of people because you'd still have the one side who wants the one thing to be legal, and the other side who wants the other thing to be illegal. What I'm getting at is that the population is always so intent on rushing for the maximum amount of change and reform that it's like a seesaw dangling over a lava pit. If one side is too far down, they're getting burned alive. So in their pursuit to propel the momentum upwards, they push the other side of the seesaw into the lava, and then those people are melting, so they react the same way and push the original people back into the lava. And nobody for 1 second is ever thinking about how we can balance this fucking thing without anybody taking a magma bath. That's why it pays to sit in the middle. I don't lean too far to the left or right, and as such, I'm never in any danger of combustible death. I don't think guns should be illegal. I don't give a shit that they're legal either. Similarly, I don't think hard drugs should be legal, but who am I to say that they're not? I'm not trying to protect any rights or laws as if I would have any reason to concoct a personal stake in the matter. What I can find it in myself to ignore is people on either side of these issues will feel like they have to take action in an actual forum. And I don't mean politicians. That's what they would have you believe is their job. I mean normal, stupid people who think they're the harbingers of prosperity and changing tides because they have opinions that supposedly everyone needs to know about and respect. In related news, I hate the news. The TV news is nothing more than the BuzzFeed of local irrelevance. They're trying so desperately to continue being a staple in the lives of people without cable that they have completely lost all forms of integrity. The only possible reason to watch this kind of news is to see the weather forecast so you can have someone to be mad at when it's wrong. The only time the TV news is ever even possible to itself is when there's a national tragedy that takes our minds off the fact that nothing worthwhile ever happens in our city. Whenever a local crime happens and the anchors have security camera footage, they always act so excited. A man robs a convenience store, and it's all caught on camera, as if they aren't installed everywhere and consistently recording in 1080p, minus about 1075p. All security camera footage is blurry. I don't understand. I walk into a grocery chain, look up at myself in the camera, and see myself resoluting just fine, but I bet if I then went over to the counter and demanded money from the register, suddenly realized I wasn't even see anymore. Do security cameras get scared? Is that the reason? Is he a crime in progress? I think so. It's scary. Looking down, I'm so nervous. Anyway, there's always sort of still in the water, who, according to the camera, has no sense. All facial features, clean from the silver area somehow. So, like, if you recognize this one, please come into the photo. Like, someone would be like, 911? I thought I blind was walking through a forest at night collecting cases off the street sign, and I turned around and was right behind me. And then everything turned to static for a bit, so I didn't have the forest. Hands down, the worst part of the news is installation. I don't want to hear rags stories. I prefer witches to more, but more witches to rags could be fun too. But usually it has something to do with someone with a disability who the public labels a hero because he has a disability. I have a disability, and I'm the only one who calls me a hero. I saw one story about a kid with no legs who joined his middle school or high school wrestling team. I'm like, that's just straight up not fair. There's obstacles to be overcome, and then there's obstacles that can win any match against you by lifting you up by your arms and swinging you around like a baby monkey. Anybody who ever lost to that kid is either more disabled or just had a boner for doing the right thing. Which, how is it, by the way? Every match that Binacle wins, look up Binacle, B-I-N-A-C-L-E, in Google image search, you'll see why that's hilarious. Every match that Binacle wins, he has to second guess himself, like, did I just win based on my own skills and merits through overcoming my disability? Or is it the way, way, way more likely answer of, this guy let me win so people would think he's a saint, and now for some reason I'm expected to appreciate the sacrifice these competent wrestlers do make me. Now Binacle's like, I'm not breaking any barriers, I'm just a dude with no legs that can't wrestle for shit who's getting all this praise from people who can't believe I haven't killed myself yet. That's not positive reinforcement for a kid with a disability. Condescending their very existence by showering them with undeserved awards and accolades is not helping. It would be offensive if I found anything to ever be offensive. It's tragic when a lifelong dream is prevented by a terrible accident, but trying to do things by half measures is only going to set yourself up for embarrassment and my ridicule. So that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. People who do public service food jobs, like being at the fast food window or a waitress at a restaurant, are almost becoming untouchable in terms of it being okay to make fun of them. Waitresses are like, anyone who puts staff in this asshole, no matter what, because we live on time. Well, the truth is that if some of you lived on good customer service, you'd be there. I say based on how much I think that person is worth as a human being. Sometimes that's just not much. There's this stupid quote going around the internet about how if you treat a public employee badly, you can nothing more than a joke because there's no other services the rest of the day. You know that goes both ways if you're so shit at your job, you hold up the line and create an individual that prints and customers' memories. I've seen unruly customers, usually old men, that are disagreeable and antagonistic to employees no matter what. But I've seen bitch employees that are bitches because they're bitches too. And those bitches don't get to tell stories about customers like we're the problem. It's the attitude of the quote that irks me though. Saying customers become nothing more than jokes as if the employees get the last laugh. That's like trying to discourage a bully from beating up a nerd because, oh, that nerd might write some material about him later. Who has the bruises? Is it you? I think it's you. It's getting in the middle of the firing range, ready to shoot someone every day, but somehow the shooters better watch it. You can think of what exactly bothers me. But there's something there. I'm only talking about this because today some girl working in the college was a bit gruff, taking my order, and then put my caramel in the out. I want to get out of my fucking food. I'm just doing as soon as I respawn, I stab that fucker in the back. I'm also very sensitive to the quality of my meals. Food is supposed to be one of the few inevitable joys in life, something you can count on when so much else in this world lets you down. So when someone ruins it, I don't take it well. One time I was making cinnamon rolls, and I overcooked them, and I cried. That was 3 years ago. I haven't grown much since then. You ever wake up excited to have cereal and then open the fridge and realize you're out of milk? The death of a family member doesn't come close. I'll be inconsolable. This emotional severity applies to other aspects of my life too. When plans get made, I get immediately attached to them, and if they change, my brain melts into a haze. If I make plans to hang out with someone, and we set a time for them to come over, and that time arrives and they're not here yet, I go stir crazy. Because people in this generation think that when I say come over at 7, I mean come over between 7 and 10, and no, go fuck yourself, or be at least kind of on time. I've had people cancel plans a half hour after they were supposed to have been here to start them, and they never understand why I think that's a big deal. Why do you need to do something else instead of waiting for it? Because I had already dedicated that time in my brain to you. I can't just turn that around on a dime. When I'm waiting for people, I can't focus on anything else. I sit in a chair and pretend I have anything interesting ever to do in my phone. Am I the only one who doesn't appreciate the time being wasted? If something comes up and you can't make it, guess what? I highly doubt you didn't realize it until you were 2 hours late to my fucking thing. Let me know. Do not give me that bullshit radio silence. An hour and a half of waiting goes by doing nothing until I get a text saying, sorry, I ended up going to a movie. No, that's cool, because I ended up slitting my wrists in the tub anyway. Hey, friend of Kevin, do you want to go see a movie without him? Well, I have plans with him, but I think he won't care if I cancel them in my mind without relaying that information. This is what teenage young adult communication. Implied telepathy. My schedule might be free, but it's not flexible. You understand? I'm not flexible. I'm the opposite of a flake. Instead of bugging out on plans, I hold my goddamn ground and get the same results. There's no winning. People always say to live life with no regrets. But personally, I try to live my life racking up as many regrets as I can. Or at least we think that if you lay out a timetable in my life story. I've been to 3 girls, and I've considered 3 girls who have been the love of my life. It takes a total of 6 girls. Is it not supposed to work that way? I never get to date who I set out to date. Every time, I go fishing with the intent of capturing that elusive golden trout. And every time, while my line is in the water, a pale salmon with low self-esteem jumps itself into my boat, and I'm like, well, that's close enough. Back to shore. Oh, look, this one has mental issues, too, but they're incompatible with my own mental issues, so it's not going to work. Might as well stick it out anyway and break up with one of them for a good little accident, no reason. The ones that think I can do better. The last ones are lying about all the things, the best and most celebrity. I think that underclass will look like me. That's the inevitability of dating fans. Their heroes stream at dark, and the celebrity paint peels away, so they'll never just a regular talented guy. and so disappears the novelty of the relationship. I made some ridiculously dumb decisions in my life as I to the point of hilarity. My first relationship, I suggested that we go up onto the catwalk of the auditorium and make out during lunch, knowing with all the certainty that her extremely breathing like a fire, and she would be working on lights for the musical. Needless to say, he that was about how he was accomplished twice by the same girl. I smiled a little when I read it. I said those events in motion because I tend to be mildly self-destructive. Except I don't, so I actually can't explain that one. It makes for a nice story. I broke up with my second girlfriend a couple weeks after telling her what a great mother she'd be to the child I definitely wanted to have immediately. Turns out she had gone off birth control during that time, bringing the total number of dodged condomless bullets to 8. You may recall how I fucking hate kids, so why the hell would I say I wanted one? That's a great question that has no answer. What a train wreck I am, but I suppose it's fun. My third girlfriend wanted to have a lesbian encounter with one of her friends and said I could watch. Problem is, the other girl's boyfriend didn't want me to, or anyone to, because he's a fucking idiot. So I said I was no longer okay with the entire idea in the first place just to piss them off. They ended up having a three-way without me. So much for that dude's principles. Oh yeah, I'm uncomfortable at the thought of you watching my girlfriend, but now that you're mad, let me stick it in yours. What a douche. Taking advantage of my certified whore girlfriend like that. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this episode. If you enjoyed it, you can like, share, and subscribe.
Oh,
And I'll
fuck.
see you guys next time. Christian comedy is painful. I remember one time, like 8 years ago, I was in the car listening to a comedy channel on Sirius Radio, and this guy came up. I don't remember his name. I don't remember anything he said before he said the thing I'm about to say. He was telling jokes, presumably, and then he just starts preaching. And not in a sarcastic, antagonistic comedy kind of way. I mean, like it was his mission to go on stage and spread the word out. I remember him saying, and that was so great about my God. He loves me and cares for me. I know my God will always be there for me. He kept calling it my God, which I guess is respectful to people who don't view him as their God. Then again, we have a guy on a national radio station meant for comedy using that time to praise the Lord in everyone's face, so I'm not really buying the whole The name of the channel, by the way, was Raw Dog Comedy. Some of you may have listened to it. So not only is he ruining everyone's good time by preaching, he's doing it on a predominantly dirty comedy channel. You might as well have interrupted a Satanist convention to find out which separate church donation basket that was a drop positive party he was definitely not invited to. I remember the crowd during that performance being completely silent, which I thought was apt. I mean, you can't really listen to a guy being like, the Lord is my shepherd, and he can heal you in places you didn't even know you were hurting, and then just go, boo, fuck Jesus. It would be hilarious, but oh, real quick off topic. When I was in high school, I was doing counselor every year. In my junior year, one of the acts was a girl who went to the school who would be singing a song with her little 3-year-old sister. Just some nameless ballad typical of that kind of arrangement. The kid was okay. I mean, you lower your expectations vastly when it comes to little children, and she was just okay even taking into account those lowered expectations. So I had heard them practice before because we'd have a rehearsal night the night before the actual show. So during the show, I was sitting in the crowd with one of my friends who had also signed up, and it became their turn. The girl and her sister went up and started singing, and it was a downer. Like, you have to keep in mind that this is a high school college show. By glow sticks and amateur. We're all trying to do it patiently, but we're not enjoying it. Two girls were exchanging solo lines, and during the 3-year-old verse, quietly, so only people in the crowd kind of nearby could hear it. Get off the stage! And thank God the lights were dim, so nobody could see the one laughing at the little girl hears the laugh and stumbles a little bit, which makes me laugh even more. I'm trying to keep it inside, but I feel like I'm having 6 heart attacks. The 3-year-old looks in my general direction, stops singing, and her arm that's holding the microphone just kind of falls limply at her side. Her sister eventually gets her to keep going, but I mean, the damage is done, right? That kid will never be a performer again. Her brain is too young. That shit gets imprinted. It's sad and funny at the same time. Anyway, back to Christian comedy. There's a few examples of Christian comedy on Netflix. It's a series of stand-up sets called Thou Shalt Laugh, Thou Shalt Laugh 2, and so on. I've seen 2 of them, and the only reason I made it that far was because I had a friend to be uncomfortable with. Sanctioned Christian comedy, like the kind where the audience knows that that's what they're dealing with and still buys tickets for some reason, is really jarring to watch if you're a fan of jokes that are funny. Because the audience is full of people who would pay to see Christian comedy, which is just the most shameless group of individuals I can imagine. They laugh like they'll go to hell if they don't, which is funny until you think about the fact that a lot of them probably actually think they'll go to hell if they don't. When I see young people part of that crowd, like the camera points to some teenage girls that are genuinely having a good time, I feel so bad for how crazily sheltered their existence has been conditioned to be. They're wearing skin-length dresses with like protective smocks over them, just to really guard their assets from the X-ray vision of the devil. You know they go home after the show's over and knit decorative pillows and quilts until it's time to churn butter. Sometimes Christian comics will try to pull off a mean joke, and they can't. It's really just a good like the woman who plays Ray's wife and Everybody Loves Raymond, Deborah, I don't know her real name, I did though, is the host of one of the shows. I didn't know she was a comedian, and after hearing her tell some jokes, I'm still not sure. But the way she introduces the next comic actually super good. Because no, Deborah, you're not allowed to be like that at a Christian comedy show. She goes, the next comic coming to the stage is Michael Jr. And the crowd claps or whatever. And she continues, we actually have a lot of things in common. We both enjoy sushi. We both star in Emmy-winning sitcoms. Oh, wait. That's just me. Now that already is hard. Because did you forget where you are? Now everyone here thinks you're a bitch. But then she continues, I guess God had different plans for him. Oh, now it's God's fault he's not successful. That's fucking low. But also the actual problem here is, you're not friends with Michael Jr. I know you are. You met him backstage, engaged in small talk for 2 minutes where you learned that he's from Pennsylvania and likes sushi, and then started the show. If this was a roast and you weren't so condescending in your delivery, it would have been fine. But a woman so that she cannot pull off especially if you might as well have been backstage like, hey, what's your name? Your TV show has? None? You don't have a TV show? Wait, secondly, I'm going to out of a gold chalice. The hypocrisy laid bare. Christian comedians share a lot of similarities with a fair amount of ethnic comedians. They rely on their own novelty to sell their material so they don't work as hard crafting actual humor, instead assuming enough will come from the very idea of whatever they're talking about. Christian comics are also very careful to the point where it's distracting. If they talk about feeling any negative emotions towards anything whatsoever, which is like 80% of what comedy is, they'll overzealously backpedal and remind the crowd of their fave. They'll be like, you know, I just really hate this popular music these days, and I know I shouldn't hate. I know hate isn't God's way. I'm a Christian. We're all Christians. And I know God has a plan for popular music, or he wouldn't allow it to exist. It's like before you can finish a one-sentence joke, you need a paragraph of disclaimers to discourage dissent. And that's a tiresome pattern. Some Christian comics seem to think that characters are still funny. And I'm not talking about like a Zach Galifianakis or TJ Miller sort of like, I'm going to introduce this character with specific traits, say one sentence as them, and then move on, which can still be funny. I mean like coming on stage as a character and doing the entire set as it. One guy was introduced as the village idiot. And I curled up into a ball on my couch and prayed for it. And basically mined pretending to be dumb for laughs for 10 minutes. And he was getting them. Somehow, people were laughing at this. He had one joke that was actually above average that made me laugh. And I wished it wasn't wasted on such a shitty circumstance. Because that one good joke is now going to be permanently squandered into an awful black hole of terrible concepts and hacky observations. This would be the only scenario I can think of where it's acceptable to steal a joke from someone else for the purpose of saving it from a lifetime of mediocrity. They closed the show I watched with a ventriloquist. Let's be clear. Jeff Dunham made ventriloquism funny and relevant for 2 comedy specials, Arguing with Myself and Sparkin' Insanity. That time is over. Jeff Dunham has turned his characters into catchphrase-spewing pandering machines, and no one that ventriloquist has come even close to the level of funny that his first 2 specials were. Controlled Chaos wasn't awful, but it wasn't good. None of Jeff's holiday specials have been worth a damn, and all of them have featured not a single laugh-worthy joke amidst all the manufactured controversy of performing certain films in certain countries. Ventriloquism is dead and has been for 8 years. Lots of people hate Jeff Dunham, which is unwarranted. I mean, you can't say he's a bad comedian. In fact, he's a good comedian who just and I'll see you guys next time. I think about being famous a lot. What it'll be like, what'll be expected of me, what I'll have to deal with. I lay awake at night fantasizing about being mired in the latest controversy. I see a lot of misunderstanding or overreaction to something I say on social media but I'll have to appear on a low-night show to discuss. I've hypothesized the questions, my answers to them, my reaction to the pitchforked outcry of the sheep-skinned shepherds that live in it. The most likely scenario that will make hot water is saying something racist. I do that all the time. What I say on camera is like 5% of what me and my friends joke about on a daily basis. And you know what? You do that too. There's nothing anyone won't say behind closed doors. If you want those doors are closed, who cares? It's the same as one of the arguments people use in favor of gay marriage. They say what happens behind closed doors doesn't affect other people. Why should you care? I extend that argument in favor of offensive jokes. Now, you might say my doors aren't closed when I put them on YouTube. But I say my channel is simply a more spacey room with larger doors that are closed but not locked. If you're here, it's because you want to be, and you can leave the room anytime you want. Same with people who follow me on Twitter. But the truth is, the racist jokes aren't even indicative of racism. People hear racist jokes and like to go, "You're a racist," but that's simply not cohesive logic. I might put my line in the water a few times, but that doesn't make me a fisherman. If some men are doctors and some men are tall, does it stand to reason that some doctors are tall? The answer is actually inconclusive due to a lack of certain necessary data. But the point is you can't accurately define two groups as the same simply because they share some similarities. I play video games. Professional gamers play video games. Does it stand to reason that I am a professional gamer? No, it doesn't. Just like it doesn't stand that I'm a racist just for telling racist jokes. So if you call me a racist, you really just self-showcase a glaring lack of reasoning skills. Racism is a tool I employ to laugh, not an entity I become. Besides, I had a black friend once, but we grew apart because she was really ashy, flaky. Just to add variety to the offensiveness, I thought we'd talk about transgender people. Specifically, just how it's not transphobia for me to not want to date them. Phobia is fear. People like to plaster that word on the end of everything, not being specific enough for the community. Nobody's afraid of transgender people, except maybe whoever Caitlyn Jenner ran with. It's nice to know that if I ever get into trouble with the law, I can make it go away by turning my dick inside out. And they'll even give me an award for it. But no, I don't want to date trans people because I am a transgender. And though the dude always wanted to be a lady, traces of dudes still remain. Trannies are nothing new. It's not like Caitlyn was bred in a lab by genetic experiments, or patient zero of the bubonic plague. I can chuckle at whatever I want, shut up. But there's been a big influx of them recently, with more than the encouragement needed to pursue their testosterone-losing or acquiring dreams. So it's something us sissies need to deal with more often. I believe all transgender people on dating sites need to label themselves as such. With all these GMO politics surrounding our food, I think we've established that we prefer to know when things have been genetically modified. If you're pro-labeling for genetically modified foods, but you think I'm an insensitive bigot for applying that to the people, consult your arguments in favor of the foods as an answer to any angrily charged backlash you want to express. People have a right to know what they're putting into their bodies, or putting their bodies into. Hey, what do you call an obese woman who used to be a man? Trans fat. I'm kind of tough to nail down, because I'm an unabashed
Oh, fuck.
who gets annoyed with people who care about things, as a form of caring, and dreams of one day finding his equal in a relationship. Most of who I am is a loud, boisterous contradiction of logic, even as I advocate in favor of relying more on logic than anything else. I'm the exception to a lot of my own rules. I'm an aspiring musician and comedian who despises other aspiring musicians and comedians. Whenever someone who went to my high school posts a video of them covering a song, I don't watch it, and I hate them. I mean, how dare you try to make it, you know? Although maybe that's more of an issue with acoustic covers than people trying to get noticed. Acoustic covers suck all the time. Hey, you know that big, bombastic song everyone loves? Well, what if I strip away all those layers of musicality and play plucky guitar instead while singing a worse version of the lyrics the original singer sang? Also, I think I should make creepy eye contact with the camera the whole time so the viewer feels violated and unsafe. There's something unmistakably gay about watching a dude play an intimate webcam performance of a song written for a girl because he's singing to her, but he's staring at you. I don't know, I just can't help but feel gay as I jerk off to it. Also, you're not a band if your biggest gig every year is a talent show. You're just people people who get together and annoy your neighbors. When I do comedy open mics, I sit in the green room in silence before I go. Everyone around me is jabbering away, trying to incorporate their material into regular conversation with whoever they're talking to like it's the goddamn Tonight Show, and I just pretend to look at my phone. I'm not nervous, I just refuse to join the atmosphere. I hate my life during everything leading up to and immediately after my time on stage. That stage time, though, is glorious. We fucking need television. If I could materialize on stage from my house when they call my name, and then teleport back when I'm done, there would be nothing stopping me from being the most prolific bitch in Portland. People get mad at my idealism when it comes to fame. I hate that I want to become a celebrity while doing as little work as possible. Hey, we all have strengths and weaknesses. My strengths are my talents. My weaknesses are everything else. Motivation, drive, work ethic, those are all things I wasn't born with. I'm doing the best I can without them. They say you can't wait around for contacts to fall in your lap, but that's the only chance I have, and I will not rest until I feel like it, which is right now. So that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Pop music is getting my last name, but it has nothing to do with the music. What's pissing me off now is the complete disregard for lyrics. Zayn Malik, formerly of One Direction, now known as Zayn, because it's all in caps for some reason, just wrote a song called Before. Verbally, that sounds just fine. Have you seen how it's written? For one, it's spelled B4, as in the number 4, but like the written out letters of the number 4, so it's not B4 like how your mom text messages. It's the word B with the word 4 as one word. If that wasn't baffling enough, the B, F, and U are capitalized. What the fuck? Zayn is making song titles the way black people create for any visual reference, just imagine Chris Brown with Rihanna. Chris is driving these cycles. And Rihanna's face is the caption. For every couple strokes it gives that key a good crack, and lo and behold, the pop song title is here. Just wait until you hear it. Pop song, the right song called Cat 360 No Scope, and boom, wreck your lungs. Pop music in terms of chord structure and repetition is the same as it's been for 50 years, from John Lennon to Justin Bieber, trope after trope. But the words have just gone as downhill as you can get, to the point where they're omitting them entirely. Artists don't have last names anymore. Drake, Beyonce, Pitbull, like what's wrong with Pitbull Jones? You have to have an exotic name to get away with that, though. I want to be an artist that just goes by Bob. People will be like, hey, you guys ever listen to Bob? People they talk to respond like, Bob, is that like a coworker of yours? No, he's a world famous pop sensation. He has a bunch of top 10 songs. You should check him out. His latest single is called Bleh. Yeah, by that point it's not even words anymore, just grunts. Why are humans the dominant species on the planet? Ingenuity? Intelligence? Because physically, humans suck. When you compare us to the rest of the animal kingdom, we're trailing the back of the pack in most aspects. Our top running speed is like 28 miles per hour, and that's just if you're Jamaican. Usain Bolt can't even beat a fucking house cat. Our eyes are terrible too. Night vision, thermal, infrared, can't do none of that shit. We have to invent devices to see things for us, like microscopes. There's so much of the world that we just can't even notice. Which is why people who say seeing is believing are small-minded morons. But when you trust those optical instruments, they're proven to be incapable of seeing most of stuff. Some people would use that as an argument for religion. To me, it's another reason why I can't get behind it. How can a chosen species be so inarguably shit at everything? Why bother designing a planet in such detail if you're not going to fine-tune our abilities to appreciate it? We have 5 major senses, and we're bad at all. If aliens came to Earth to find the most capable species, they'd look at us and be like, well, you're certainly talkative, but we'll start with the pink. Why do we think aliens sound like retarded middle schoolers? They were down to the galactic beings. If anything, they program their modulators to use awful, powerful vocal codes that make them weak. We're so insecure with our dominion that we have to belittle even the idea of a better species. Beings on other planets? They're probably really ugly and small and dangerous and gross. For all we know, they're the hottest bitches in town, and seeing one will make you swear off to the women forever. Also, there's a bit of a reality disconnect between aliens being leagues smarter than us in every way, but somehow not having the logic to understand our goings-on. We portray them as almost mentally handicapped when it comes to being introduced to Earth things. That toaster, what does it do? I mean, give them some goddamn credit. They came here in a spaceship using warping technology. But oh, how could they ever figure out a toaster? I don't like people. There's so much unnecessary variety. I think there should be a certain number of character presets, and then beyond that, no more customization. Just a civilization of basic Dark Souls avatars walking around finding each other, doing a few things. Not too many things. we can eat, we can sleep, we can have families and mates and survive and play, and that's it. Why should we have such a thing as a housing market when other animals build or find one house and then stay there forever without even paying rent? That sounds way better. What's the point of the Fred Meyer rewards card if other species just kill their goals? The Fred Meyer rewards card. Hey, you hear this already? And would you like to have a hard system? I'd rather get through it. While I focus on the next and the primal reality of the animal kingdom is just we can handle it. Couldn't divide the way skill. No matter how inconvenient the overland must have been to achieve that, it doesn't make us any less of a pussy. That's gonna do it with this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you can like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Worldwide, there are over 1.2 billion people who play video games. So why is it that when non-gaming media talks about video games, they always refer to it as if it's some foreign technology people could never understand? Every TV show and movie I've ever seen that isn't specifically about gaming always feels the need to idiot-splain the concept, usually making sure everyone knows that playing online means playing with real people all around the world. In Season 4 of House of Cards, Republican nominee Will Conway introduces Frank Underwood to this online mobile game. Frank Underwood is a person who, throughout the entire show, has been seen playing plenty of video games himself, but still, because dumb writers think audiences won't get what's happening, he asks Conway, "So you're playing against real people right now, Claire?" And Conway responds with, "Yeah, all over the world." His voice is indistinct, so... First off, I highly doubt he's playing against people from all over the world when game servers are region-specific, but I get so annoyed being talked down to like this through my TV screen. That's not the worst of it, though. You'll see that in commercials. You ever seen one of those old GameFly commercials? If you don't know what GameFly is, neither does the gaming industry. It's supposed to be the red box of games, even though Redbox is already the red box of games, where you can rent them for short periods. But if you've ever seen a commercial of theirs, you know an actual gamer has never been on that set. Whenever they have a quote-unquote real person up there hawking their service, I can see right through their fake scripted knowledge. GameFly is great. It's got role-playing games, multiplayer games. What, you mean to tell me GameFly doesn't just have one genre? Fucking unbelievable. Also, anyone who says multiplayer games doesn't know their Call of Duty from their Battlefield. It's multiplayer. Say it like you didn't learn the word today. And role-playing games? We have acronyms for a reason. Use them. Who do you think you're marketing to that doesn't know what an RPG is? You afraid some terrorist organization's gonna mistake you for arms dealers and try to order a shipment of launchers? For a service meant to cater to gamers, you sure don't sound like you know what we are. I don't care what stats GameFly puts in their commercials explaining how popular they are. Not a single person has ever done business with them. I just went to their site and learned that they also do movies now. That's how they're trying to be the red box of games and the red box of movies. When Redbox is the red box of games and the red box of movies. Okay. You'll see the most egregious depictions of people playing video games in video game commercials. Whenever they show the kids or adults playing the game, they're always just mashing the buttons on their controller, and I want to be like, bitch, you're watching a cutscene. They're so active, too, because the commercial never wants to portray video games as a lazy hobby, so they're jerking their controllers around and bouncing on the couch. I don't see a Kinect camera on that TV, so I don't think you're helping. You ever watch the faces of the people playing in commercials? Huge smiles, so big and forced, it's like there's a bomb in their house that will go off if their muscles ever relax. Nobody plays games like that. The default gamer expression is a despondent mouth hanging slightly open, with eyes that are glazed over. And you wonder why I don't do face cam. I don't rent video games, because I want to own things and not be poor. A lot of people respond to that with how renting games is a cheaper way to guarantee satisfaction before you commit to a full purchase. But that's just because they have no intuition. I know games. I know what I'm gonna like and what I won't. And so far, I've only been wrong with small
No, I'm just
indie
buying
games
the
that cost
items,
less
and
to
that's
buy
gonna
than
end
mobile
this
games you rent
stream.
regardless. Fucking Gianna sisters.
Shit.
You never even explain your controls. I was like, oh, this will be a fun runner co-op game. But I had more fun watching a download than I did playing it. I think the only reason renting games is even still viable is because demos have completely disappeared from existence. What happened to demos? Try before you buy. That was the motto. And now it's turned into pre-order before you know what the hell you're buying. You want me to pre-order? Give me a demo. Demos were so prevalent in the good old days, they released packs of them on their own goddamn discs. I remember playing the shit out of Crash 2, Cool Borders, Bloody Roar, Tomb Raider. There were like 6 more all on the same disc. Nowadays you can download them digitally, so why are more games not taking part? The Final Fantasy 15 Platinum demo is exactly what every single major game needs underneath the pre-order or purchase option in the store. Whet my appetite, you whores, make me want it. I wonder if game rental companies ever try to discourage developers
The
from
stream's just
creating
gonna go
demos
down
because they
after I
know if
buy
they
these
do it,
last
it would destroy their
things.
business.
But I'll be
Mischievous
streaming Dark
corporate
Souls
espionage.
shortly.
Don't think it doesn't go on.
So
I get annoyed when people say they trade their games in whenever they don't meet their expectations. No, you don't. You just say that, and I don't know why you think that's worth lying about. Yeah, I bought this game, played it for a few days, didn't live up to the hype, so I traded it in. Really, the game was so bad you ran an errand just to get it out of your house?
that's
I went
what
on
it is.
GameStop's website to look at trade-in values, and
Bam.
was surprised that they're actually not bad.